Hello, everybody. It is a little bit after midnight hour for those of you on the East Coast. And it's about to be the midnight hour for a few others. And I hope this sound is okay for everybody. You guys like that musical score? I do. Well, how's everybody doing here tonight? Well, we're getting more and more folks here. What a time, huh? I'm doing this on purpose, too. Doing this on purpose. It's good. You know, for a while now, this house, our family, has been maturing at a very good rate. And I do believe that the Lord is allowing certain things to take place because our focus in the house of God is, and our family focus is becoming somewhat encompassed around these last instructions of Christ, but in fact putting them to use in our daily lives. You know, we're not reading or studying for the purpose of excelling the COT itself or having any individuals recognized for their backup. Not to worry. We have backup, so we're good to go. We are good to go. Thank you, Lord, for that. I thought that would happen, so I was somewhat prepared for that. Thank God for that. I'm excited about many of the things that are taking place in this organization. I'm relieved that, we've been here for a long time, really a long time. And for some years now, we've been here for a long time. And our family has learned some valuable lessons over this time. Now, of course, you guys, you realize that basically all this time that I've been teaching and sharing with you guys a consistent message. And it's been the same since the beginning. Hopefully you guys can hear me breathing. For some reason, this thing sounds very different at nighttime. And I'm thankful the sound is getting better because we have, commercials and things like that we're going to have in the with COT. And we're going to work pretty hard at scheduling these things. I'm going to be asking some of you also to help out. Some of you have. I didn't notify everybody, but some of you have been wonderful. We had a group that you guys know of, and they wrote a song just for COT. That's beautiful. The group is, I guess you could say, famous, and but that was very generous of them. We from time to time, we have listeners from different, just different listeners, and thank God for those who have been in this family, who are my personal encouragement. You don't have to talk to me to encourage me. Your growth is great encouragement for me. It gives me, it really gives me the motivation to continue to go forward. And having said that, all of us contribute to one another, and we're growing at an alarming rate. We really are. I'm very thankful for that. And we're not shuffled in with this money thing, so that's even better. Keeps everybody humble. And I thank God for that. But I also know that there are some things we haven't discussed, and sooner or later, these things are going to surface. There were some, certainly back in the 60s, and going into the 70s, there was a plan for the population to introduce them to something you just wouldn't believe. And of course, everything was set up, and lots of people were involved to introduce the world to some entities. Really, it was really going to happen. But of course, it didn't happen. The plug was pulled, the same day that they were going to shoot or wrap up a specific type of presentation. With this presentation, it was so vast that everybody was involved. Everybody. They brought in all the heavy hitters, and everybody was involved. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. Well, since that time, I'm going to give you a little story. There was a few people who began to receive in their minds lots of knowledge. And they were in leadership positions. And they were receiving lots of knowledge. And the intelligence community at the time posed questions to these individuals, and the answers were shocking, to say the least. But they were also straightforward, which made... What happened was, in this scenario, I'm not going to tell you what. You can discern that for yourselves. I think some of you already know about this story. But it became apparent that no one would be able to live a normal life knowing this. No one. And which is why partly now they look at the population as being quite foolish. And you know, they don't look highly... They're individuals who don't look highly upon the population because they deny their own belief in quite a few things. And suppose you knew the truth of some things and you knew it for a fact, but you have people running around saying, you know, it's not true. Let me give you an example. Suppose no one on the earth had ever encountered a hurricane, right? Just a simple hurricane. And so you went around having knowledge of a hurricane, seeing one for yourselves. You went around trying to tell everybody that, you know, sooner or later, these things are not brand new. They happen. You just have not seen them yet, and they affect everything. Suppose you were the only one that saw it, and but you needed everybody to know about it. And we're going to use this scenario because I'm going to show you something about the dissemination of information and why it does not go out. And in most cases, why it, when it does go out, people laugh and foolishly. They do things and they'll always be unprepared. But suppose you were the only one that saw a hurricane and you went around the world trying to inform folks and get them ready for a hurricane, something they never saw before, something they don't know what it's about. Right? Let's just say that the world had never seen a tornado. They had never seen a hurricane. They had only seen slight storms. There were never any floods. There were, none of this extreme phenomena that we face today in regards to the atmosphere, weather, jet stream. Suppose they'd never seen that. And so you are running around, you and a group of people are running around because you're the ones that actually saw one. And let's say that you were in a high position. So you're the only ones that know about a hurricane. Problem is, you know that there are passive hurricanes and deadly hurricanes. Okay? So suppose you're now wanting the public to know about these hurricanes. Right? Because one day, one could form and truly kill a lot of people. So what would happen is, and what did happen, not because of a hurricane, but you set up to give a demonstration of a hurricane. And so you sit down and you begin to write out how it will be done. And after you write it down and everything, you have the ultimate evidence in your hands, and you're going to show it to the public. Now, remember, the public has never seen this before, but you've witnessed the devastations of a hurricane, and all the world knows are, just mediocre storms, nothing major. So life goes on, and a few years passed, and you're trying desperately to come up with a way to introduce people to the truth. because you know at some point in time that they're going to have to face that truth. And when they do that, you don't want the people to just to be so overwhelmed that they can no longer function, right? That life stops. And so you're the only one that knows, but you have a boss. So you get some materials ready, and quite a few, let's just say, quite a few television shows ready. And those who have the actual evidence of a hurricane, suppose they taped it, they have it on film, they have quite a few things on film, they tell you, hey, we're going to give you this and for the presentation of hurricanes, okay? And so you're very careful, though, to stay neutral as far as that. You're not for the hurricane, you're not against the hurricane, you're just explaining that these hurricanes exist, and chances are, in the future, that you're going to have to face one, and it could really, change your life, okay? So you have this material all together, and then you are ready to get the finalized presentation out there. And then a group of individuals speak to your boss. They start going over the true, what would the fallout be from this? And a few of them say, well, if people knew about hurricanes and how destructive they are, and because people don't yet realize weather can kill, it would cause so much panic, right, that people would just withdraw from society, from a fear of something that they may face. And then, so they start saying, well, if the people fear that much, if they fear a little bit, what they'll do is they'll stop living, is what they'll do. And if they stop living, they won't continue with the ways established in any given country, and they'll take the power into their own hands and begin to institute what they think they need to live by and do because of this new information, because they now know about a hurricane. And so naturally people will prepare for it, but others will totally shut down. Society will break down. So this is what they're telling them. Society would break down because, we may not see a hurricane for 40 years. But if you tell them now that idea and that fear is going to be within them, and they may stop serving all the countries, in which case no one can quite control them, right? So if they're telling people this, they're telling your bosses are telling you this, that no, you can't release this because it would be premature, and people would go to the extreme, and because there's not enough defined information, there's not enough evidence that you can distribute to everybody, and we need the pros and cons of a hurricane, because if we release this, you're releasing a death scenario or doom scenario, and people would not live their lives with a hope, right? And the whole thing boils down to this, that people would not live their lives in hopes of being something bigger in their countries. All of a sudden you release this information, and that dream goes away. So if that dream goes away, people are going to change the face of this earth. It will be division everywhere, because each individual community will then take it upon themselves to begin to lead their communities. And you would have a worldwide breakdown of the social machine. So they say no. They pull the plug. No one gets to see anything. The world keeps going on. Though the hurricanes still exist and could form anywhere, the world keeps going on. Right? People keep living their lives. But now the leaders are sitting back in their chairs saying, wait a minute, this could really rock the foundations of everything. Right? Because people would find out for the first time that storms can kill. So, in essence, listen, the leadership, because of information like that, would quickly grab it. They would quickly snag it. Because anything that will break down the social order, right, is a weapon within itself. Anything that would cause people to no longer live by the laws of the land. Because when you're in a life or death scenario, and that life or death scenario is thrown upon a country or people or nation, people will no longer listen to the leaders appointed over them. And if that takes place, chaos will soon ensue, because people will take these authoritative positions upon themselves, and anything threatening their plans, they will destroy. So you would have a worldwide outbreak of a civil war because of information that they may not even have to face, for 40 or 50 years, right? And so